Myles Garrett in his prime, okay, and pulling this off seemingly out of nowhere. And Andrew Berry said you guys were very, kind of relentless in your pursuit of Myles Garrett.
It's interesting. I think when you watch someone like Myles from afar during his career, there's an element like, oh, that would be a nice addition to the Rams. Usually that's just something that's not going to happen.
Nobody expected the Rams to actually pull this off. For weeks, fans around the NFL kept hearing rumors about Myles Garrett possibly becoming available, but most people thought it was just another offseason storyline that would never turn into reality. Then suddenly, everything changed. The Los Angeles Rams shocked the entire football world by landing one of the most dominant defensive players of this generation. Once the details started coming out about how this trade happened behind the scenes, people realized this was not some random last-minute move. This was a calculated gamble by a franchise that believes its Super Bowl window is wide open right now. The craziest part is that even Myles Garrett himself admitted he was surprised when he first heard the possibility of joining the Rams. According to Garrett, he only found out about a week before the deal became official that Los Angeles was seriously involved. That reaction alone tells you how quietly the Rams front office handled this situation. While the rest of the NFL was busy speculating and guessing, the Rams were already laying the groundwork behind closed doors, trying to figure out if there was a realistic path to getting one of the best defenders in football into their building.
At the zenith of his talent. As a matter of fact, the Rams just acquired the one person who could make Aaron Donald look in the mirror and say, "Do I look fat?" The Rams just added Myles Garrett.
And let's be honest here, this is not a normal trade. Teams do not usually move players like Myles Garrett unless something major is happening internally. We're talking about a two-time Defensive Player of the Year who just came off another insane season. Garrett recorded 23 sacks last year, setting a franchise single-season record for the Browns. 23 sacks in today's NFL is ridiculous. Offensive coordinators spend entire weeks trying to slow him down, and most of the time it still doesn't work. That is exactly why Rams GM Les Snead and Sean McVay saw this as an opportunity they could not ignore. Reports say the Rams became more aggressive once Cleveland adjusted Garrett's contract situation. Internally, Los Angeles viewed that move as a sign that there might finally be an opening to make something happen. Once they believed there was a real chance, they started pushing hard behind the scenes.
That first part of the equation was saying goodbye to someone that we all really like, love, and respect.
The Rams reportedly gave up Jared Verse along with first, second, and third-round draft picks to complete the trade. That is a massive price. Some fans immediately questioned whether Los Angeles gave up too much, but the reality is that if you want a generational defensive player still in his prime, the cost is always going to hurt. Sean McVay looked genuinely excited every time he talked about Garrett after the trade became official. During the introductory press conference, McVay could barely hide his energy talking about finally getting the opportunity to coach somebody he had respected for years. It was clear this move meant a lot to him personally. Then, things got even more interesting after ESPN reporter Lindsey Thury caught McVay leaving the parking lot following the press conference. Instead of the normal, polished coach answers, McVay gave a much more real reaction. He basically said, "F yeah, let's ride." That told everybody how badly the Rams wanted this move to happen.
When Myles Garrett is traded, that alone is enough to make it one of the biggest trades in the history of sports, not just football. That guy traded, best in the league 2 years in a row. It's really hard to do. He's not best at one position. He's best at all things defense. Just got traded to the team that wants this year more than everyone else.
Because here's the part nobody is talking about. This trade is not only about Myles Garrett putting up sacks in Los Angeles. This is about the Rams trying to completely reset the balance of power in the NFC. In today's pass-heavy league, the only reliable way to slow elite offenses is by generating pressure with 4 rushers instead of constantly blitzing. Garrett gives them exactly that. Now, defensive coordinators can rush 4 players while keeping extra defenders in coverage. Quarterbacks have less time, receivers get less separation, and mistakes happen faster. Garrett has built his career on creating that kind of chaos every week. What makes this even more dangerous is Garrett's mentality. He has repeatedly said he doesn't feel pressure to change who he is just because of the spotlight. He wants to stay consistent, focused, and natural in his leadership. That confidence is important because stars sometimes struggle after big moves. Garrett doesn't sound like he will. He sounds calm, focused, and motivated.
This is a trade that tells you the Browns do not believe in their quarterbacks. The Browns do not believe they're ready to compete this year. And this is a move to build a championship roster in 2-3 years when the dome's open.
That's it.
This is not for 26. This is not for 27. This is all eyes on 2029 when
And
that
Jason's
dome
been
opens.
telling us that for years.
Can we have a franchise with a quarterback, with an offense, with a defense that can complement everything together and lead them to the playoffs?
And
that's what this trade signals more than anything.
Meanwhile, the Browns now face enormous pressure. When you trade away a player like Garrett, the return is always heavily scrutinized. Jarrett Verse is talented and the draft picks matter, but replacing someone like Garrett is almost impossible. He was not just their best defender, he was their identity. Reactions in Cleveland have been mixed. Some understand the long-term logic, while others believe you should never move a player that dominant if you still want to compete. The Rams, however, clearly believe in their approach. This is the same organization that has repeatedly gone all in for stars like Matthew Stafford, Jalen Ramsey, and Von Miller. They prioritize proven talent over future draft capital. So far, that strategy has worked. Garrett also spoke about culture during his introduction, highlighting the winning environment and strong locker room in Los Angeles. At this stage of his career, it is about championships and legacy, not just individual awards. That is why this trade could change how his career is remembered. A championship in Los Angeles would instantly elevate his place in all-time discussions. Sean McVay seemed to understand that too. Coaches rarely get chances to add a player this dominant in his prime. Garrett is not declining, he may still be improving. That alone should worry the rest of the league. Then came the Aaron Donald talk. Fans immediately started imagining Donald coming out of retirement to pair with Garrett. Even though it sounds unrealistic, the idea alone shows how much excitement this move created. If that ever happened, it would be one of the most terrifying defensive lines in modern football. Even without it, Garrett raises the ceiling dramatically. His presence also affects teammates, practice intensity, and overall defensive confidence. But with the move comes pressure. Once you give up major draft capital for a superstar, expectations become immediate. The standard becomes championships. And that leads to the biggest question in football right now. Did the Rams just make the smartest aggressive move in the league by betting on a generational defender in his prime? Or did they mortgage too much of their future chasing another title run? On the other side, did the Browns maximize value at the perfect time? Or will they regret watching Garrett dominate somewhere else for years? Because if this trade works the way the Rams expect, it will not just be remembered as a blockbuster move. It could become the moment the NFL's balance of power shifted again.